I'm going to show you a solution for the extraEnd exercise on CodingBat. What this one wants you to do is just take the last two characters of any string that's being inputted, repeat it 3 times, and return it. So because I know that the input that I have to work with is a string, I can use any method in the string class. If you're not familiar with Java API, you can check out my Java API video on how to understand what I'm doing over here. But I'm in the string class and I'm taking a look at these two methods that I'm allowed to use. They both will break up a string for me, so let's just take a look at this one first, and I can click this. And this lets me know that I can use the substring method, and it's going to return a new string for me that starts at my begin index and goes to the end of the string. So in this case, if unhappy is my input and I start at index point 2, it's going to return happy. And it's 2 because in Java we start counting off characters with 0. So U would be in the 0 location, N is in the 1 location, and H is in the 2 location. So knowing that, I can come back over here and I can start to figure out how to peel off those last two characters. So I'm going to use the substring method, so that returns a string. I'm going to give it a descriptive variable name, and I'm going to call that method on the string that's being inputted. And the method that I figured out that I want to call is substring. Now, how do I figure out what those last two characters are? Because my input varies, I need to use something off the length, right? So let's go back over to the string API and take a look at the length method. I'm just going to go up here because it's easier to click to find it. So I can run the length method, and it gives me just the whole length of whatever string happens to be that I'm calling it on, and it returns it in an int. So let's actually do that first. So it's always the return type of the method I'm calling. We can call it length, and length needs no input, so I can just call it like that. So now I have in this variable name how long the string is. So when it's called with hello, that would be 5, and it's called with either of these two, length would hold 2. So what do I want to start at? Let's try something out. Let's just start at length minus 2 and see if that gives us what we want. And then, of course, we have to return this 3 times together, so we can just use the plus operator to concatenate the strings. And then we can see, oh, I have a typo here. Then we can see if my minus 2 idea was correct or not. Something great about CodingBat is you can kind of do some trial and errors like this and just quickly click go, and you can see whether you're right or not. So this worked out perfectly. It gives me each of my run tests that CodingBat did, what CodingBat wanted for an answer, and what my code actually got for the answer. So my length minus 2 is perfect. It started 2 back from the end, and it went substring all the way to the end. So at this point, my last 2 has the last 2 characters in it. I just concatenated 3 times. Let's say if we made a mistake here. Let's say maybe I tried it out at length minus 3, minus 1, just to see what happens. And you can see it just gives me the last character of each one, and that's why this is wrong. So that, again, is what's nice about CodingBat, is it tells you what your code returned and what it should be. So it gives you some sort of direction. And that's the solution for extraEnd.